So in this segment, we're going to be discussing, the idea that you run a government like you run a household and how it's nonsense.
This whole notion that you run a government like you run a household and you actually have to earn tax revenue to even be able to spend, and otherwise you have to, do austerity is a complete myth. Governments create money all the time. We do that for war. I mean, look at what happened in Germany recently. Overnight, they created 100 billion euros for the war effort. So why?
They did the same in the UK and other countries as well. You borrow tons of money in order for the war effort. So the idea that we can't use that for green energy and other kinds of things is complete nonsense. For other social programs for the NHS is nonsense. Obviously, you have to borrow responsibly. I think what she might be pushing more is for modern monetary theory, whilst I'm more of a fan of Keynesian economics. But I think they're not a million miles away from each other.
Why do we actually treat our social problems around health, around public education, public transport, climate change as urgently as we treat climate, and then use tax to redistribute in a progressive way, not a regressive way, and to steer the economy to be more inclusive and sustainable? That should be the question, not nitpicking on one number.
So I think she's 100% right there that, there's a lot more you can do with government borrowing, and the idea that debt is bad, that's because people view things from a household kind of budget angle. You can borrow money and invest it and make a huge difference. If you look at the NHS, it was built on borrowing. We borrowed a lot of money from the Americans, a ridiculous amount, to get it off the ground, and, it creates so much social change and helped so many people in this country. It was unreal the kind of difference it made towards things like preventative care, and in the end they couldn't even get what they wanted because they didn't have enough money. They wanted to do more care around eyes and teeth, but in the end they couldn't afford it. So could you imagine if a government came in later on and kind of nationalised or kind of gave eye care and dentistry on the NHS fully rather than the system we have now? But yeah, 100% I agree. It's just debt isn't a bad thing. Creating money isn't a bad thing. It's just what you do with it. That's the key question. And so, yeah, 100% I agree with this. But anyways, let me know what you think in the comments below. Like, comment, share, subscribe, support the channel on Patreon if you can. And hopefully I'll see you in the next one.